Dan and Corey here, welcoming you into Libservative.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back.
Yeah, welcome in to another rousing rendition of Libservative, intellectual idiots fostering political and cultural literacy, the world's smartest internet show. Bell the Body Snatcher on the ones and twos. He, as always, is Corey Walsh.
He's Dan Griffin.
And, yeah, we've had a week now to
We've had a week.
Yeah, the situation with Charlie Kirk to calm down a little bit. I will say I'm happy that the country's not burning down. That's a pretty good, goddamn good start, right?
Yeah, so far
We're still
so
still in a spot where we can walk outside and see lesbians walking their dogs, or
yeah,
playing disc golf.
It's almost like when you step away from the internet, the rest of the world is pretty normal. And I guess we should start off with that. Let's start off with the idea that, like, regardless of all of this back and forth, us versus them, and like both sides making it seem like the other side is just full of dehumanized stuff, like demons. They're the fucking demons, interdimensional space demons.
Yeah.
And,
so before we, so what you're saying is before we get into the part where almost immediately after Charlie's death, everybody just like reverberated. We were discussing synonyms back to their echo chambers, or reverted back to their echo chambers. We're going to get into the good stuff.
I just want to say that go ahead and step out of your echo chamber, because all of the media right now would make one think that half of the country hates them and wants to see them dead, and then they're all
You can just shut up, baby, because you hate America and you love abortion.
And
right?
It's really, 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 really not the case. And stop listening to the fear-mongering and all of that stuff. That yes, there are individuals in this country who are doing nefarious things, as evidenced by Charlie Kirk being murdered. But if it was really if it was really the way the media portrays it, that like just half the country hates you, you wouldn't be having people when you're going to the store and being in that bullshit situation where you have a cart and someone else has a cart, and you're coming into an aisle and you almost run into each other and you go, "Oh no, I'm sorry, you go." And the other one goes, "Oh no, you go." And you're holding up everyone else because you're trying to be fucking polite to let the other person through.
Or do the
or we're not
speaking
holding...
about it from a Midwest perspective, right? It's sorry.
Yeah, I guess, but like I feel like in the rest of the country, like people are still holding doors open for each other. People are still like letting someone in when a car is just trying to pull out during traffic and you're stopped anyways. Sliding a buck to a homeless guy. Like I don't know how far you want to go with it, like picking up a piece of trash when you see it, even though it wasn't you that put it there and there's a trash can right there. Or helping someone because they're on the side of the road. Like I could just think of a million examples, but I think you're picking up the gist. It's remember the real world is the real world, and social media is social media is what I was trying to get to there.
I seen a bunch of old people at the park today. There was like 30 of them, and there was a girl singing music to them while I was disc golfing. And you know what?
They were all yelling the N-word at her.
All senior citizens should have life alert.
They were like, "Keep singing. We don't want to know what you think." But
no, but yeah, that's just it. Like just a random person busking and everyone enjoying the common denominator of music. Like
we
have
actual audio.
Happening. You need to go out and touch grass. What's that?
We have actual audio. We have actual audio
from audio?
No, from the woman that were from the old people that were being sung to by this beautiful artist.
Hello, Reader Logistics.
We have actual audio. Bell did record it. He didn't say that part, but he sent it over to us immediately, and here it is.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Oh man, I wish I had some other stuff queued up.
You don't.
I
That's
don't.
okay.
I
But
don't.
I do like that you brought up the good stuff.
Obama
right? Because-
and Larry Sinclair.
because there's definitely a
She was a
it's-
baritone.
yeah. we're gonna talk about femboys a little bit later on in the show.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It was something new of learning about the femboys and learning about the whole like groyper culture stuff. Dude, I feel like I'm pretty chronically online, but I guess I'm not that type of online because
What we
it's just-
learned, what we
yeah,
learned is that
it's a
we're
bunch
old
of jokers.
That's
and
what
I'm
we
not
learned.
jokers. But there are people, but then at the same time, there are people in this group that are just goofing around and being trolls. It's just this weird subset culture that's just a conglomerate of a bunch of people. And some of them are absolutely, apparently, as evidenced by some of the shit we've been seeing, batshit crazy. Are there batshit crazy people in regular society? Sure. But these ones, it's just, they're doing it for the lulz. Like that's a term I do. They're doing it for the laughs. And when I say that they're just a bunch of jokers, I don't mean joke. Like, I don't want to get doxxed. I don't mean jokers as like jokes, like jokers from Batman. They just want to watch the world burn.
We have actual audio from there's a group of groypers that just sent this over. It's going to be tough for you to hear. But...
You're gay.
Oh fuck!
Damn,
I knew this was going to happen. That's what mostly likely will happen is they'll just call me gay.
But you do have.
But you know what? I'm not done looking into this.
Oh shit, buddy! I gotta dig a little deeper.
I'll tell you what. So like, I ended up spending. It got into a big fight with my wife. I'm spending like 4 hours looking up femboys, and not spending time with my kid. And I'd Google images looking up femboys, and then my wife walked in, and then I was trying to explain to her, trying to figure out how to be a groyper, and I don't know.
He's paying. Corey's paying all kinds of money to all these femboys.
I just paid $88.
But if you're going to take, so I don't know how to phrase this because people get offended, right? If you're going to take some positive, I guess, out of the terrible situation of Charlie's death, what I would say is this. I think you're noticing where everyone stands. I think you're noticing who people really are, both online and in real life. Mostly online, right? Because you're getting regular people on the left that are like, there's no room for this. You've got Kyle Kalinske saying that Kyle Kalinske, who we have shit on multiple times on this show, saying things like, Charlie seemed like a good man. These types of things going on. And then you have people calling for censorship, right? We're going to get into how the right has really reached peak woke. I'm serious. They have really reached peak woke. They've really reached
people being fired. It's all the benchmarks. Like there was check marks of what the cancel culture was on the left, right? Because we bitched about it, like celebrating someone's demise, whether it's their career, their life, anything. Mm-hmm. Actively trying to dox them and find out where they work to like exploit them to their boss. It's pretty fucking wild that this
and
is.
And the defense on the right is what? Well, you guys started it. Like it's fucking a group of 10-year-olds on a playground.
Yeah.
Arguing with each other or fighting with each other. He did it first. And then we got to sit here and be the goddamn teacher. And be like, I don't fucking care who started it. You're both idiots.
Right.
And it's really scary. That's the scariest part is kind of how the administration is handling this. But before we get into any of that, the negative side of this is we have run into and I can't say that I'm surprised, but I'm disappointed. We immediately ran into a thing where folks on the quote-unquote left and the quote-unquote right, just for lack of better terms here, immediately have run into their echo chambers. The interesting thing about it is they're essentially both saying the same thing. So immediately you had this retreat back to echo chambers where each side was like trying to like defend their worldview and try to explain away how this isn't their fault and is the other side's fault. Like almost immediately, like almost the next day. So you had the left immediately running to Trump's deep state must have killed Charlie Kirk. And then you have the right going, the deep state killed Charlie Kirk. And I'm going, it kind of sounds like you guys agree. Like, what are we arguing about here? Am I wrong?
No, I don't think so. It's just, yeah, everyone just, like you said, ran to their sides. And it's just.
Oh, and by the way, there's a good chance you're both wrong, but you both ran to the same place.
Yeah, we don't know. It looks like the guy had some leftist views, but that he's being a groiper for Halloween. And then it's just, he's all over the board. He's just all over like you take all the extremists and group them together from the left or right, and you make a little horseshoe. And they're all like coming back towards to the center is what he's like a part of like that group. Seemed like he did target Charlie Kirk, but that's not like the last guy. The last guy was like his Google search history showed like Joe Biden, Donald Trump, like some prince or duchess or something.
Well,
and
I think that's kind of what's interesting about the whole thing, right? So there's so much confusion. I don't care who you're watching or listening to. I mean, if you're watching, Fox News.
Liberty Twitcher said, I'm fully a free speech guy, but aren't they now yelling fire in a crowded theater when they egg on violence with their celebration of Charlie's assassination? Well, to be fair,
egging on violence? Who's egging on violence? Because you can look all up and down X, and you can look all up and down social media where you have people on the right calling this is war now, right? So again, it's this.
Yeah, it's this ridiculous tit for tat, and it's like, I mean,
You thinking? I can see the blurb above your
I don't
head.
want to just stumble over words just to stumble. I'm trying to, I had a whole different thought process going, and now I'm trying to recalibrate real quick. But when I said, when I said, like, he said some leftist views, are you serious? It's like, what I originally meant by some leftist views is, yeah, he seemed like this extremist leftist, but it comes to that whole, like, society, that whole culture of, like, I think being a nihilist is what threw this off. And that's what I meant. That's why I was mentioning the other guy. He was Googling whoever was coming to town.
Mm-hmm.
I think he wanted to just do it just to do it.
Corey, I'll say
that this one, that's what I mean. Like, this one had some leftist views, but I don't think that is what necessarily did it. It's fucking wild.
Oh, we're going to get into the confusion as to why this is so confusing. And we've decided ourselves that we think that's by design. It's meant to be confusing. But to speak to the whole, like, oh, one side's egging on violence and one side's like, you have idiots.
But Liberty Twitcher also wanted to make sure that we knew that he's not referring to his choice to penetrate a male furry who wants to become a female, which is impossible. In parentheses.
Now you're making allegations we don't know yet. That is one thing that's kind of interesting about the shooter, is that, like, we know that he lived with a I don't know, furry or trans. I don't know who this is, but, like, them being lovers is kind of still speculation at this point.
Of course, not that there's anything wrong with that.
I don't care either. But that's kind of still speculative at this point. I don't think we know that they were boning. If they were, good for them. I hope they got what they needed prior to this entire thing blowing up in their face, because I don't know if it's the state, or if it's the state of Utah, or if it's the federal government, but somebody's seeking the death penalty on this. So I guess I can't say I'm surprised by that.
And Reader said people who are calling for war are just plain crazy. Self-destruction is definitely not the answer.
That is the entire point here. So you have
Yes.
Yeah. All the time. You should see our text thread, Liberty. We absolutely call each other my love. Most of the time, it's while I'm wearing a bear. Most of the time, it's while I'm wearing a bear costume. So, what I was going to say,
and it's not because I think he's a bear. He's just cold.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know who weighs more.
He
Probably me.
said, "Okay, he's not a liberal." Then I take it all back.
I'm glad we got you to come around. But as far as like who's calling for violence in this, right? So you have, I'm glad Liberty brought this up because you obviously have the folks on, again, we use the terms left and right just kind of for lack of better terms if you're new to the show.
It's just quick.
I don't think
there's a spectrum.
I don't think either of those things actually exist.
Yeah, I don't think neoliberals, libertarians, anarchists.
I don't think any of those things actually exist. But you have the folks on the left that are celebrating Charlie's death, right? That's disgusting, right? We're not fans of that. That's gross. But then you have the folks on the right that are like, okay, they're just trying to kill us now, so it's war, right? And this stuff is easy to find. So it's going to end up being a chicken or the egg situation. Did history start with Charlie Kirk's death? If it did, then yeah, okay. If you're on the right, then you could absolutely justify, quote unquote, starting a war. That's a very narrow fucking way to look at it. And I don't think it's right.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Yeah, it's just, we don't. This can go one of two ways. It's everyone can like look at this and go, holy shit, and everyone should try to take a step back, or it doubles down. Because let's not pretend there's also a violence on the right. Like even the Cato Institute, which is a libertarian institute, shows data that it kind of skews more politically to the right than it does to the left when it comes to violent actions. A lot of times it seems like people on the left are more or less doing property damage. If you notice that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People and the ones on the right, it's more of like, and they are lone wolves, and the Republicans don't claim them, and they certainly don't cheer when they do it. That's a pretty big distinction, honestly, that I think is worth pointing out.
And you have to factor in the public nature of how gruesome this death was. That's absolutely a factor in some of this reaction. But what I wanted to get into, you started talking about this a little bit, Corey, was the confusion over the shooter's motives, right? So we talked about, the trans roommate, possible romantic relationship that we're not exactly sure about just yet. I'm sure that will come out probably before we do.
Well, he did call him my love in the text.
I guess that does kind of make it lean more towards a romantic relationship.
Because as of right now,
either way, it doesn't really matter.
Alleged is true, so I'm not going to say anything else about
him. Speculation as to whether or not
a lot of speculation. Yeah, you're seeing a lot of speculation about the text, but
either way, it doesn't really
until
matter.
Proven otherwise. I'm not going to
romantic relationship or just a roommate. It doesn't matter, honestly, because you get into like the messages on the bullets, right? Some pointing towards sort of a more trans ideology, furry culture, with some others pointing more towards a sort of quote of, new right groiper 4chan culture. And it kind of appears to us as we're digging into this, that kind of seems to be by design.
And here's the thing.
I think it's meant to be confusing. It's supposed to be confusing.
Here's the thing. Us digging into it could be something that could be just like a false whole fucking trail, like to a dead end that is like was designed to make it to where it seemed like we were throwing us off the scent the whole time, kind of thing. So I don't know. Or it might not even be that complicated. I'm fucking confused about this shit, Dan.
Right? We all are, because we're old now and we don't understand 4chan, and that's okay. But Bell, get the first one ready, because Corey sent Bell and I this video earlier today that was set. You said it was made, what, a month ago, Corey?
Yeah, no, this chick made this video in July.
This self-proclaimed femboy made this in July. And I thought it was interesting because it kind of gives you a little bit of a dive into this sort of culture where she claims, he, I don't really give a shit what you call this person, claims that femboy culture has a quote-unquote fascist problem. You got it, Bell? He's digging. He's got it. Here we go.
Wait, full disclosure, actually, before he plays it, this could be somebody trolling us.
It totally could be, dude. We have no idea what the fuck's going on. We have no fucking clue. We have no idea. Go
Are
ahead,
we
Bell.
overthinking it?
Yeah, probably. We overthink a lot.
The femboy community has a fascism problem. It's pretty easy to spot once you know some common dog whistles, such as 14, 88, SS, or anything regarding a Roman salute. So how did this happen? Short answer, 4chan. Long answer, also 4chan. In the early 2000s, being a femboy was a very niche subculture on the internet, unlike today where it has really skyrocketed in popularity because of TikTok. But since it was a very niche subculture at this point in the early 2000s, you would have to rely on online messaging boards, such as Reddit and 4chan, to find femboys, or even in some cases find other femboys. And you want to know who else uses these online messaging boards and still do today? Fascists. So from the get-go, there was a very close proximity between femboys and fascists. And because of this proximity to each other, femboys started to learn about fascism, and fascists started to learn about femboys. So through the process of sharing ironic memes on the same site, these two cultures started to slowly but surely combine. And since being a femboy was a niche subculture, there was a level of real-life social ostracization. And fascists absolutely love recruiting socially ostracized groups of people. Whoa, 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 whoa. What about why? Why are fascists
I didn't realize how long this video
recruiting
was.
femboys? Because they know they're hot.
So interesting,
In these
though.
online messaging boards, you would see these fascists flirting with and even sometimes engaging in entire romantic relationships with femboys, primarily for the purpose of practice. These fascists will use femboys as practice for the real thing because they are so uncomfortable around women. Femboys offer this very approachable form of femininity for these online losers. And so to these fascists, they are still interacting with femininity and they are still doing the thing they want to do, but it is much more approachable because it is with another man. And then there's a whole argument of it's the only socially acceptable way in their own ideology to express their own queerness. But it's important to note, not all femboys are inherently queer. But why do a lot of femboys transition into trans women? I wonder. But also, extremely important to note, not all femboys are fascists. There's just a lot of them. There's also just a lot of fascism going on in the world right now anyway, so be nice to your femboys. Unless they're fascists, then don't. If you like the ideas I talked about, I'd highly recommend the It Could Happen Here podcast, and especially their Curious Case of Nazi Catboys.
Sure, we'll let her go ahead and plug her podcast. So
Yeah, we just listened to her for a couple minutes.
Dude, honestly, I feel like this must be what boomers felt like when the fucking iPhone came out. That's how I feel. I think that's how I feel right now. I have no fucking clue. I have absolutely no clue. I kind of get it. I kind of get it, but I still don't know how to send a text message kind of thing. I don't know where I am right now.
Like, oh, the internet. It's in the air.
How do I turn it on its side? How did you get the big keyboard? I have no fucking idea. I have no idea. But it kind of, I guess, I don't know. It kind of makes sense.
Dude,
hopefully, it can help us out. I don't know.
It's the rough plumbing of the rest of the internet, essentially.
it's
what's choosing what comes in and goes out. What'd you say?
It's the lead pipes of the internet.
Not even lead pipes, just it's the rough plumbing. It's all these people that are all sitting there, and they're the kind of the ones deciding, like when something first comes up, how do you think this shit like filters to us? You know what I mean? Like it's someone's boosting this shit and finding this shit when it's very first made, and then sharing it there, and then there it's getting bigger, and then the biggest, funniest shit typically probably leaches up to the rest of the internet.
Yeah, and let's be very clear. This person uses the term fascist kind of, I don't know, out of context. I don't necessarily agree with her use of the term fascist in this regard, but I get what she's saying.
Right.
And so if that's the kind of culture that the Charlie Kirk shooter came from, and you don't think that the messages on those bullets are intentionally meant to be confusing, I think I gathered at least that much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I don't really get the culture.
No. Don't get it.
It's easy to connect the dots that this was basically like a real life shit post.
Yeah.
I think it's that more than any ideology.
And you can kind of understand how people that understand even less about this, less about 4chan culture than we do, and we understand almost nothing, but like maybe don't even realize it exists, are really quick to do the Donald Trump thing of like, it's the radical left, or, you know, reverse it around the other way. It was a white guy who grew up in a conservative family, so he must be a right-winger that actually killed Charlie Kirk. And you guys are arguing about nonsense. You're arguing about like,
and people are laughing
vanilla
about
and
it.
chocolate cupcakes. And these people, are laughing at you every minute of the day. Look at these fucking morons. They don't even get it. I laugh to keep from crying, Corey.
Yeah. It's like that's just it, man. It's like I've done my fair share amount of trolling people on the internet. Like just making a fake account and just riling people up just for the laughs.
You're an amateur. You're clearly an amateur.
But yeah. It's just yeah.
And then it's just like, you don't think it was maybe by design to have everybody turning and blaming and starting a fight? Because as you said, the Joker style characters, that's what they want. Let's just watch the world burn. Let's watch these idiot normie liberals and idiot normal conservatives blame each other for this whole thing. And I don't know, maybe we'll even start a war in the meantime. It's totally by design. At least that's what I'm gathering. But I have no idea.
Tell you what. You remember that one Facebook group we were all in? And I don't know if the podcaster would feel comfortable.
Talking like a boomer again. Like, remember that Facebook group we were in that one time?
Yeah. I guess, I don't know if it's a shout out or not, but Colin's Last Stand. We were in that group, and the way people would talk politics and the way that people would troll each other in that group makes so much more sense.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're getting something out of this.
You remember that group, right? There would be the guy with the George Costanza face.
Yeah,
I forget his name, but like, dude,
Aaron.
Bell remembers his name. But I'll tell you what, I had a blast in that group. It kind of died, but it was so much fun. Like, but if that's like what's going on times infinity, it's like, oof. I don't know if I can handle that.
And then I mean, you even
they were probably being nice.
And you have it expanding out into like, Israel definitely did it. And I sit there and I go, can we be careful with that shit? Like, honest to God, because we have talked ad nauseum on this show about how horrible the genocide being conducted by the Israeli government in Gaza is a huge problem that I don't just want to like get swept under the rug. But when you start with remarkably little evidence to this point of Israel having anything to do with this, you run the risk of the Israel-Gaza situation becoming a sort of QAnon-style laughingstock. And I don't want to see that.
Yeah,
no,
that's true.
And believe me, if there is actual evidence put forth that Israel had anything to do with this, I got to kind of believe there never will be. But hey, I've seen crazier things. I'll be the first person to call that out.
Yeah.
100%.
You know, what is it? What do we always say? It's that one quote, my opinions change as the facts change. Pray tell, what do you do, sir?
Right.
Or whatever.
Run to
But,
my echo chamber is what most people will do.
Yeah, but like right now, there's no evidence of that. Just like right now, there's no evidence that those text messages are fake.
Right. And again, just like with the text messages, quote unquote, being fake, and Israel maybe having something to do, quote unquote, with Charlie Kirk's murder. Yeah, there are some things that make you raise an eyebrow, but at this point, that's all it is.
Right.
That's
it.
it.
It'd be irresponsible for us to try to just say anything different. This isn't InfoWars.
It's just an eyebrow raiser at this point, because everybody's pointing to the Max Blumenthal piece. I will, full disclosure, I did not read it. However, I did skim through it, so I read a good chunk of it. And even within that article, Max Blumenthal says there's no actual evidence that Israel has anything to do with Charlie Kirk's demise. Right. So even the guy writing the piece said that. So can we just relax on this? Why do we have to do this? Corey, why do we have to do this every time? Why do we automatically have to run to find blame? I don't know. I hate it.
Because everyone in their core, whether they are left or right, us normies, I guess.
Us normies.
There's a societal structure and there's tribalism. And we have been in the mire of identity politics for damn near probably like 30 years from the left and the right. Plenty of evidence of it coming from the right now.
Oh yeah, and we're gonna get
into
that.
Now that the Republicans are in power, and then now they're trying to now I guess recently homegirl Pam Bondi recanted and came back and said no, it's not the government, unless the speech incites violence, which is kind of tricky because
that's just not what she said. And I don't. I mean, you did say she recanted what she said. We have the video.
Yeah, no, she clarified. I have it right here from Axios.
We'll get that. We'll get there. But just like more on the reaction of Charlie Kirk's death. Just honestly, to kind of speak to what you were kind of getting to there, Corey. You know, the immediate scramble to get to our corners to defend our worldview. That's what happens when something crazy happens and something bad happens. So,
mixed with identity politics.
Right. So the left runs to inferring things like Charlie Kirk brought this on himself. If he wasn't so hateful, he'd still be alive. Those people have no fucking clue what they're talking about. And then you have the right immediately trying to throw as big of a blanket of blame over as many people as possible, referring to, quote unquote, the left. They don't ever say what the left is. And it's very much like when the left would refer to anybody as a Nazi that was 2 clicks to the right of Bernie Sanders, like 5 years ago. That kind of seems like the road that people on the right are going on now. Anybody who's like 2 clicks to the left of Ted Cruz is a violent, lefty socialist who wants to murder people like Charlie Kirk. And it's just like none of that is accurate. There's absolutely no nuance in any of what you're saying right now, but it's very familiar. Because we've just seen this. We just saw this, like in the grand scheme of time, like 2 weeks ago, with people on the left trying to take people's jobs for not getting COVID jabs, or trying to dox people and get them fired from their jobs because they thought like being trans was a little bit weird. You know what I mean? And now that's the spot we're in with people on the right talking about folks on the left that are kind of doing this but thing with Charlie Kirk's death. It's one thing if a company goes,
but as I say, but they've been doing a lot of buts lately.
Who's been doing a lot of yeah buts?
Like a lot of people on the right, after the things they've been complaining about things on the left for the last 4 years.
Right. They're low
There's a
IQ.
lot of yeah buts right now.
Their low IQ response is like, you guys started this. Right. This is what we always talk about with like, are you principled or are you not principled?
Right.
Do you believe in free speech or
Now,
do you not
granted,
believe in free speech?
Also, but to be fair, to be very, very fair, but now I think this is a societal's decision, which so far most of it has been. It's been companies firing these people. I'm not really that upset about that. Freedom of speech, in a sense, does not keep you having a freedom from consequences, right? Like, I'm still a free speech absolutist, but in the society, your words, and when I say I'm a free speech
absolutist, but is what you just said.
But that free speech absolutism pretty much ends at the government. Like, that's what the Constitution protects you from.
Sure. I agree with that.
And now I do not think that words should begot physical violence. I absolutely, completely disagree with that. But when somebody, like, let's say like a teacher, really, really bad look when someone like a teacher goes on there and says and starts celebrating the death of someone, would you want them teaching your kids?
It's hard to deal with. I get it. Well, and I guess what you could say is,
and then if society and everyone, like, you know what I mean, then all the parents and stuff like that are like, yeah, we don't want this guy teaching our kids, and they fire him. That's technically a consequence. And then, but that was like kind of society like making that choice, like public pressure. I don't want the government ever dictating the consequences of speech. And I don't want them ever to dictate what is being considered. I mean, I guess they do this Supreme Court speech. What is it? According to rulings made by the Supreme Court, speech that may incite violence and speech that actually incites violence are two different things. Yeah, because if we're talking about just words like creating violence and then the government dictating it, it's like, how broad or how narrow are they going to look at it?
Well,
and you might be watching this show right now, and you might be a Trump supporter, and you're okay with Pam Bondi saying that because Trump is ultimately going to be the one dictating what is hate speech and what isn't, and you might be completely fine with that. But once that right is taken away and once that precedent is set, in 4 years, when a Democrat takes office and it's a Democrat cabinet in there and it's a Democrat attorney general and it's a Democrat Department of Justice, you think Biden was bad? Trump pushed the boundary and made it much more, like, if he's trying to actually push through with this stuff, then he is pushing the envelope for the next party to take the torch. And that next party isn't going to walk the torch back.
Right.
They'll make it sound nicer. They'll call it things like the Ministry of Misinformation.
Jesus Christ, that's a callback.
That's what Biden did.
No, I know. I was here. We talked about it quite a lot. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you want to just play the
which Liberty Twitcher said? He goes, Trump and the team say a lot of stuff. That doesn't mean they can or will do it. And that's very true. And she's already, and that's, since we're on her, she already did walk it back a little bit. She clarified. And she said, my intention was to speak about the threats of violence that individuals incite against. Wait, where was this at? Freedom of speech. Oh, she said, freedom of speech is sacred in our country. We will never impede on that right. And then she was talking about how, then she went on to talking about how, what were we mentioning a second ago?
So
I got so many goddamn tabs open.
That's all right. Let me speak on this for just a second, right? Because I look at this as being, I guess, a matter of levels, right? So if I own a company and I get word, whether I just see it myself or somebody calls me and then I look it up and I see it. If I own a company and I see somebody openly celebrating the death of anyone, Charlie Kirk or anybody else, I can totally see anybody who owns a company, or myself if I own one, being like, yeah, I don't want you as a part of my company culture. I don't want you here. Bye. And firing you. I'm all right with that. I do think it's a little bit different, though, when you have people that did this over the summer of 2020 and a little bit beyond that on the left, and now you have people doing it on the right that are calling for the firing of the yeah, but folks, right? People that are not necessarily celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, but saying things like, well, you know, if he hadn't
just making an observation.
Right. If he hadn't said what he said or said the things that he said, he would still be alive. They're 100% wrong. And that, even saying that to me is extraordinarily gross. However, that isn't the same as openly celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. Does that make sense? And when you're talking about schools, like you brought up the teacher example. I don't have an answer for that because and here's the reason why it's hard to answer. Because schools are government run. And my argument would be, with my libertarian principles, would be public schools shouldn't fucking exist in the first place, so fire them all. Like, not for any ideological reason.
But a private company is the same thing.
No, because private companies should exist.
Right. What I'm saying, they would probably also fire the teacher.
Right, but now you're not having the government fire the teacher. You're having a private company fire the teacher. That's true. That's the difference. Yeah. So it's very, very different. So like a private school in this situation, if a private school teacher was celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk and the parents got together and said, we don't want this kid teaching our kid anymore, and the private school went, jury's in, bro. You're out. It's like
they pay
very, very different.
Yeah,
it's extremely different. Bell, do you have you got the Pam Bondi video up, right? Let's go ahead and roll that, and then Corey, we'll talk about it a little bit, and then Corey, you can say how she's kind of rolled it back. I'm going to be very, very skeptical of her rollback, but she was talking. Was this a Katie Miller show? I don't even know what the fuck that is.
There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. And there's no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle. There's free speech, and then there's hate speech.
That was it. There's free speech, and then there's hate speech. Do you know who she sounded like? Bell's got this video, too, and it's only about 8 seconds long. I'll give him a second to pull it up. Kind of sounded a little bit like Tim Walz, didn't she? She sounded a little bit like Tim Walz.
Sure did.
When in the debate where free speech is not protected. This isn't from the debate, but go ahead and roll it, Bell. It's only about 8 seconds.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Yep, that was it. And they're both fucking just wrong.
That's what the Trump administration has been sounding like quite a bit when it came to like people protesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Other countries.
Isn't that interesting? And that goes back to kind of how we started this episode, which is that Charlie's death, if you're going to take sort of a silver lining out of it, everybody is showing their true colors. And I don't want to brag on the back of Charlie Kirk's death, but I do have to point out that we've been saying this since the election cycle. These people are not who you fucking think they are. These people are not free speech people. These people are the types of people that will do exactly what their opponents would do, which is the minute they have a chance to take your liberties and shut down your free speech and do something as disgusting as use Charlie Kirk's death to do so, make no mistake, they will do it. They will absolutely do it. How did Pam Bondi roll this back, Corey?
So she came out and she said, so Pam Bondi told Axios in a written statement that she was talking about criminal groups or people that incite violence, not those who said hateful things about the slaying last week of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, a friend of Bondi's. And then my intention was to speak about threats of violence that individuals incite against others. And then under President Trump, the Department of Justice will be unabashed in our efforts to root out credible violent threats. We will investigate organizations that pursue illegal activities, engage in political violence, violate our civil rights, and commit tax fraud or nonprofit fraud.
Okay, I want to speak to this comment from Liberty, who says that the conservatives aren't burning, looting, insulting, and killing like the George Floyd fans did. I'm going to tell you exactly why that is. Conservatives have families to feed. They have jobs to work. They have things to do. Okay? That's kind of what it is. That's not necessarily what's important. What's important is the fact.
Yeah, the demographics show that, right?
Right.
A lot of Democrats that are out there are younger.
What's important is that you have. What's important is that you have administrations. I'm not worried about the conservative liberal aspect of this. What I'm worried about is that you have back-to-back administrations, one that is portrayed as like super left-wing, one that is portrayed as super right-wing, and they are sitting here discussing ways to take your liberty and your speech rights away based on what they consider a tragedy. You consider George Floyd's death a tragedy? Fine. It was, because death is a tragedy. You consider Charlie Kirk's death a tragedy? Absolutely. It was, because it's a death. And it's a tragedy. What the more important thing is how these tragedies are utilized to take away your liberty, to take away your speech rights, and to shit all over the Constitution. I don't really care what morons on the street are doing, at least not in the grand scheme of things, right? Is it shitty that businesses were burned and people were hurt and riots took place in the summer of 2020? Yeah, it's awful. It shouldn't have happened. But I'm way more worried about people in power utilizing these things to fuck you over, to fuck me over, than I am about like how people are reacting to this thing.
Yeah. And then he said plenty of us will oppose Bondi and Trump if they really will try to stop free speech. Hopefully, you know, there was two big things that happened that Trump promised so far, and it didn't seem like a lot of enough Trump supporters came out against it when it came to bombing Iran, when it came to this whole
and that's the thing, Corey, is like
Epstein files.
Dude, they already are. I mean, like when you're trying to deport people for saying mean things about Israel and trying to cover it up.
I'm just saying that the collective seems to also allow the goalpost to be moved on the right, just like the collective on the left does. If we really want to just start getting into talking about who's who here, I guess. I don't know. Just kind of being an asshole.
I guess the other thing too is culturally, right? So, you know, again, it's
facts, Liberty. He doesn't want to see this as an opportunity for government overreach either. Neither do we. Absolutely.
No, we absolutely agree. We absolutely agree on that. I think Liberty's a little bit more supportive of, I could be putting words in your mouth, but he's a little bit more supportive of the Trump administration than we are. And that's totally fine. But watch out. I want to speak to this a little bit on culturally, because horseshoe theory is coming to fruition. We already got into this a little bit with the way the right is kind of reacting to this whole thing. So I'm going to read you guys a tweet. I think you guys already know this. I'll give a couple seconds for the listeners maybe to try and figure out who tweeted this. So here it is. I legitimately don't know how to come together in unity with a group of people that would prefer me, and all people like me are dead. You guys already know the answer to this question. I'm wondering if any of our listeners know who tweeted this. Because to me, it sounds like I pulled that from some leftist activist in the summer of 2020. Doesn't it sound like that?
Sure
That's kind of what that sounds like. That's Megan McCain.
They don't want me to exist.
Right. That's Meghan McCain from the day that Charlie Kirk passed away. Now, I understand if you're far
So
enough
that's
to the
just
right.
it. That's what's frustrating, right? Is like all of this should be kind of like a reflection in the mirror and everyone going, "Oh, fuck. You're right. Maybe we all do have something more in common."
I'll give you another one.
Like,
I cannot, quote, unite with the left because obviously this is somebody on the right, but I cannot, quote, unite with the left because they want me dead. They will spit on my grave when I die and laugh in the faces of my wife and children. There can be no unity with such people, but I will unite with anyone on the right. I hereby discard any grudge or personal feud I may have had with anyone on my side. Maybe we will pick up those arguments sometime in the future. Now we have to stand together. And that is conservative pundit from the Daily Wire, Matt Walsh. These tweets sound like lefties from 2019, 2020, 2021. This whole idea of all of those people over there, right? Those others over there, they all want me dead. This is the same shit that trans activists have been saying for 5 years, that all you do is when they tweet these things, all you do is see people on the right commenting, "Sweetie, nobody wants you dead. We just disagree with your lifestyle." Or, "Sweetie, nobody wants you dead. We just kind of wanted you to keep the rhetoric out of public schools." That kind of shit.
We just so want to see two boys kissing, which it still sounds silly, right?
It is silly.
But yeah, and it's very, very unfortunate still that Charlie Kirk died. But what we're seeing, like the way that people are reacting and stuff like this, it reminds me of how people react when someone in their community gets killed. Because like a thing like George Floyd, it wasn't necessarily just George Floyd. It was just the frustrations of seeing this happen to people in their community, of them being treated poorly, being seen as like not necessarily second class, but looked at side-eyed, being pointed out, and being like, especially in like places like New York, like the stop and frisk laws, they've proven to be like racist. Like when you're a minority, when people like you stand out. It's like,
and honestly, Corey, you could make and I'm
so like when you hear them saying the same things on that side and that frustration, and now the right is actually like kind of getting a taste of that too and seeing what that's like, you would hope that there would be a recognition of not necessarily trying to go back to the tit for tat, well, my guy was more important than your guy or this or that. It's more of just an understanding of, all right, yeah, no, I get it. It sucks. It sucks when someone, when you think someone's, when you feel like you've been dealt a raw hand. And again, that's what I'm saying.
We've talked on this show many times about how, I do think it's a little bit unfair in certain areas where conservative thought has been marginalized, even though I don't share it, right? When I look at somebody like Charlie Kirk, we talked about this a lot last week because it was fresh, and we mostly just talked about Charlie all last week. So if you want our instant reaction, feel free to go back and listen to last week's episode. But I do understand this sort of feeling that conservatives have of, I always feel like we have to keep our mouths shut, right? It's like, especially like if you're in a liberal city or you're on a college campus, I get it. Like you've been told that you're a Nazi, right? Or you're a fascist for the last, I don't know, probably going back 10 years now. When in all reality, you just like think families are important, and like maybe you don't think that homosexuality is cool, or like you think it's a sin or whatever, but you don't necessarily want gay people to die. I don't agree with you, but like that's not an unreasonable thing. And it's one of the things that's so frustrating about the left's reaction to Charlie Kirk's death, because they do this. How many times I saw people talking about, just like how Matt Walsh talked in that tweet, or just how Meghan McCain talked in that tweet about how, I didn't want Charlie dead, but he wanted me dead. And it's like, you don't know anything. You don't know anything. You don't know anything about Charlie Kirk. You don't know the first thing about Charlie Kirk. How many times he talked to gay people on campus and simply basically just said, listen, I'm a Christian, I'm a conservative, I think your lifestyle is a sin, but I certainly don't want you to die, right? Or I certainly don't want anything bad to happen to you. You're one of God's children, right? That's the way he would talk to these people. And so that kind of goes back to the whole echo chamber thing of when you, the first thing you hear about Charlie Kirk is that he's a Christian conservative, right? And somehow that morphs into algorithmically on social media in particular, this space of Christian conservative wants gays dead. When there's this whole fucking spectrum in between those two things where Charlie Kirk or anybody like him could easily fall. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Liberty Twitcher said he missed my point and that he doesn't get it. And so, like, basically what I was trying to say is when there is a tragedy that affects a large swath of either side, to where, like, on the left, when it came to, like, George Floyd, it was bigger than George Floyd. It was more about the frustrations of everyone in those communities seeing what happened to George Floyd happen to people they know and stuff like that. And things that were, like, because they're minorities, they stand out and they get harassed more, as evidenced by things like the stop and frisk laws in New York. With that being said, they feel like they've been unjustified. And then when the powder keg is just right and the media is on it, like especially like George Floyd, where you saw the person with the knee on the neck and stuff like that. I'm not here to argue about the knee thing itself, but when they see that and they've seen it in their own communities and they see someone die because of it, and never, like, I'm not so much focusing on, like, the destruction that they caused, but the frustrations, the sadness, and the anger that they felt. Well, Charlie was one person. That anger that's being felt on the right, because now you feel unjustified, you feel the sadness, you feel the frustration, you feel the anger.
You feel targeted.
There's an emotion objectively on either side. Yeah, you feel like the target. Exactly. You feel like the target. Like, you hear the Meghan McCain say these things. You're hearing people on the right being like, I don't want to be killed for my free speech. Are they grandstanding? Maybe. Just like the people on the left that were grandstanding during all of this, doing the same thing. What I'm saying is the emotions are kind of equivalent. And what I would like to see is there to be more of a mutual understanding with people, and understanding that, like, yeah, it sucks to lose someone. It hurts. Maybe we're humans. We obviously both feel emotions, kind of thing.
And I would
entrenching the us
say,
versus them. And I'm not saying that that's what the left did whatsoever in the last, like, when that happened with George Floyd. But I'm saying it would be nice to see now that both sides can actually kind of understand that emotion, to at least, because that's probably what Charlie would want. He always wanted open discord. He always wanted people to talk.
This was Liberty's response. Burning cities, looting, and assaulting is mere grandstanding.
No. So you're on the behavior.
I don't think he gets it.
No. You're on the behavior. You're about the aftermath. I'm not talking about the aftermath, because we're only a weekend. You don't know what might happen next. Like, just like, hold your horses. We're hoping cooler heads prevail, but people are really pissed about what happened to Charlie Kirk, and we're hoping that people on the right continue to keep the cooler heads, and then maybe you can be an example for the left of how to, like, try to, like, deal with these situations. But what I'm saying is the emotions that are felt on either side before the first match is lit, before the first bullet is shot, before any of that, I'm just hoping that it becomes, like, more, like, I'm saying, in a perfect world, it would create more of, like, a mutual understanding, and that everyone can realize that the other side is more human than you originally think, based on what social media and mainstream media tells you.
It's about
Did I explain that much better the second time?
I thought you did. I understood it. It's about the way people feel, not necessarily how they react, because they react in shitty ways. But it's more about how people feel when they feel marginalized in
Liberty said that was better too. I was still working the thought out in my head the first time. Sometimes I just go off the cuff and I start to say words without knowing what's coming next, and it gets
Trust
funky.
me, we know. But I think the more important
You've
thing
noticed
here,
that?
again, yeah, I've noticed that.
I know, I'm just teasing.
Again, I think the more important thing here is how, the Rahm Emanuel quote, never let a good tragedy go to waste, right? How does the government utilize this? That's the scary part, right? Like, we can talk culturally and like, how do we
Well,
fix...
we're already going to see Gideon. Gideon was already like in pilot tests and phases in other states and cities. So we're probably going to see that explode. Watch out for that IPO. That'll be a good one to get into.
You want to play Trump's speech immoderately, immediately following Charlie's death? I've heard it 16 times. It'll give me a good chance to go take a piss because I've had too many beers. It looks like Bell's trying to pull it up here. But this is kind of the stuff that we're talking about when it comes to, I don't know, talking out of both sides of your mouth. Like, you want to, take down the temperature, right? This is what these politicians always say, whether it's Trump or whether it's Tim Walz, or it doesn't even matter. We got to take down the temperature with the rhetoric, and then immediately following that up with shit that turns up the temperature.
Divisive rhetoric.
That's exactly what Trump's about to do here. I'm going to say this right now before you hit play. Everything that Trump says in the first 2 minutes of this speech is perfect. Spot on. Wait till the 2-minute mark. Go ahead, Bill.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the two young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory. May God watch over his family. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
So, you saw
So
that,
Liberty
right?
Twitcher said that's his job, to scare the wackos straight.
That's
and you know
not
what?
his job.
Honestly, I'll say I understand where he's coming from. You know, like everybody, like the president is the commander in chief, right? He's
Of
the
the
one you kind of
military.
look to.
He's not a cop.
No, but everybody kind of looks to that person to be like the stable voice, the calming voice in a time of uncertainty.
You think that's
I know
what that
Trump-
speech was?
No. I'm saying it's not. But when he said you got to scare the wackos straight, Donald Trump said the radicals. Okay. He could have just said the radicals. The word left is what made it divisive. Because when you really, really look at the numbers, this is according to the Cato Institute, which is a libertarian group. It's a libertarian institute. It's not a Democratic group. It's not a Republican group. But they filter through all the data. And from 2020, actually, you know what? This isn't the one that I want, because this one actually includes the terrorist attack of 9/11.
You got to take that one out.
So
Is that
since
the radical left or the radical right?
no,
for
it's
9/11?
they label it as Islamism, and they're beating everyone by like 3,000. So we all know what day that was.
I feel like one day might have skewed those numbers a hair.
But
Just saying.
so all ideologies in the U.S. of people killed based on like their political ideology, foreign nationalism is 1. Islamism is 17 people. The left is 18. The right is 44, and 1 unknown other. Right radicalism does cause more death. Now, the left definitely causes more property damage. And there is deaths. But as a president, he's supposed to be the uniter. And the only critique I have of that speech is like calling out the left, because you have to think about the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th order of consequences that are going to happen after Charlie Kirk being killed.
And hopefully that's not much.
Calling out the left only, and then removing this type of data from the website, I feel like will make people who are fucked up in the head think that that's a pass.
Liberty says, so the 50 shot every week in Chicago are mostly shot by Republicans. That's not
Well,
anywhere
you know
close.
what?
Why are
maybe
they
not
Democrats?
Republican, but maybe conservative. The black community is actually very conservative. At least
Even so, we're talking about political deaths, right? That's what we're talking about. Like
socially conservative.
I don't think most people in Chicago are being shot for their political views. Or is that not what you were getting at? Did I misunderstand what you were saying? Did I misunderstand what you were saying? Or those what you were listing was essentially political murders, right? Or political deaths.
Yeah,
right?
those are supposed to be political deaths, not two people shooting each other in a gang isn't political death. These are politically motivated murders, according to the data that was pilfered through.
Right.
By a libertarian institute.
That's what's important in this instance.
Yeah,
because
in this instance. And that's what I'm saying when Trump is talking about the radicals. The people shooting each other in these inner cities, they're not radicals. They're probably apolitical. They probably don't pay attention to politics at all.
I would imagine. Well, they might pay attention to neighborhood politics a little bit, but that's about it.
Getting shot is getting shot. Sure. I mean, we could talk about that. Then absolutely, you're right. Like the inner cities, there's a ton of people shot every day. But we're in the context of Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump's speech, which was specifically about
And how
political.
how bad is political violence, Corey? Because you sent us this YouGov poll earlier today about how Americans, based on it's all over the place, but like various demographics, think that political violence is a problem, right? Because that's what we're talking about with Charlie Kirk, and it's interesting to see how the demographics that think political violence is a huge problem is based on essentially who just died. Was it somebody on the left? Was it somebody on the right? So now that Charlie Kirk obviously is the big one that we're talking about right now, conservatives believe, what is it? What did I see? I got the wrong number up here. 70.
I got it on the screen.
Okay, so what is it? I can't see it from here. 75% believe on the right believe that political violence is a huge problem. But if you go back to the shooting in Minneapolis just a couple of months ago, more liberals thought that political violence was a problem. So there is absolutely some recency bias here, right?
Yeah. They mentioned that in the beginning. Oh, now it's asking for cookies.
Oh, nobody wants. I mean, cookies are delicious, but not these kind of cookies.
Where do they mention it? So in the beginning, they mentioned that somewhere in here. Oh, they talk about it right here. But YouGov asked this question multiple times since 2022 and found some noticeable changes in opinion. For one thing, while Republicans are more likely than Democrats to say political violence is a very big problem in September 2025, in the wake of Charlie Kirk's shooting, the reverse has been true when YouGov has asked this question after the attacks on Democratic political figures. How concerned are Americans about political violence is related to some degree of whether someone from their side or the other side was the most recent one attacked. So
go ahead. If you got it, go ahead.
Most Americans say political violence is a very big problem or somewhat of a problem. For U.S. adults, 59% say it's a very big problem, while 28% say it's somewhat of a problem. And then 7% say not sure. People that are probably, I don't know, I work nights or something like that. But so only 6% of U.S. adults think that political violence is not very much of a problem or not a problem. When it comes to party ID, Democrats say 58%, it's a very big problem. 32% say it's somewhat. Republicans is 67 and 22, almost a wash. People in the age, like it seems like less of a problem the younger you are. It's probably because you're not as politically active, or you probably haven't had as much life experience with political stuff happening. So like,
and it also changes like the numbers of Americans that think political violence can be justified also changes based on who was most recently killed.
Right.
So right now,
so the most important thing to take away from this poll is the fact that while social media and media is trying to say the other side, like regardless of the numbers we shared a little bit ago from the Cato Institute of Political Violence, that's just objectively fact that people on the right may sometimes do things more. But those were also extremists, just like there's extremists on the left. The average American person, the ones that you see at football games, the ones that you're working with, the ones that are a part of normal society, right? The ones that are at the local fair on the weekend when it comes in, taking their family camping and shit like that. 58% of them who are Democrats, or, you know, or 58% of the Democrats polled in this, 58% of the people that you see every day say that political violence is a very big problem. 67% say Republicans. As of September 10th, when after Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
But
Now,
if you go back to before that, it's basically
June
reversed.
16th, 2025, when Melissa Hortman was killed, 56% of Democrats said that political violence was bad, while 44% of Republicans said political violence was bad. After the assassination attempt on Josh Shapiro, 44% of Republicans, 37% of 44% of Democrats, 37% of Republicans. The number is probably smaller because of the fact that he survived. That makes a very big difference.
Same with Trump.
Right. September 16, 2024, 46 of 51, 51% being Republicans. July 13th, July 14th, 2024, 57% Republicans, 47% Democrats. After the attack on Paul Pelosi, 31% Republicans, 53% Democrats. So that one scared the Democrats way more than it scared the Republicans. But that one also was like the first of like all these recent attacks.
So there's a recency bias here.
There's definitely a recency bias.
It's
Also age plays a factor. Older Americans have been more concerned about political violence than younger adults, but concern has changed in all groups over similar rates. Like 31% of kids in April of 2025 between 18 and 29 thought that political violence was a very big problem. In September, 50% thought it was a very big problem. Like everyone realizes that this stuff isn't good. They know it's a problem. A vast majority of all Americans know this is a problem. And so that's what I mean when you have news outlets and news media is painting half the country and dehumanizing them. It's just inaccurate. The polls show it's inaccurate. Like,
yeah, I'm with you.
The 65
I'm
plus
with you.
year olds, 69% of them. But they, like when you're 65 plus, you've seen some shit.
And how much?
Here's where the very liberal fucking kids like kind of like start to piss you off a little bit, though.
Okay.
Most Americans say it's unacceptable to be happy about public figures' deaths, but younger and more liberal Americans are more likely to call it acceptable. When it comes to U.S. adults, always or usually acceptable, 8%. 14% said not sure. 77% said always or usually unacceptable. The very liberal of them, 24%, said that it was always or usually acceptable. While conservatives...
That's 1 in 4 young liberals. That is a scary number. I will say that. That's not good.
No, this is just liberals in general.
Okay. I mean,
the number skews way more when you look at liberals. Can you see what I'm sharing?
Kind of. Yeah, I can kind
of
see it.
Full screen your screen while we're doing this.
All right, I will. Okay, there we go. I got you.
Yeah. So, while at the same time conservative, only 4%. And very conservatives even less, 3%. So 7% of conservative and very conservative people think death is always or usually unacceptable. But then it starts to get interesting because then once they get older, it drops, even though people in our age, 10%, 1 in 10 of us who are liberal.
I think that tracks. 18 to 44. I think that tracks. 18 to 44-year-old liberals, 22% find it acceptable. And then 23%. Another 44%. 44% in general think it's at least sometimes justified. That's almost 1 in 2. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
I laugh to keep from crying, as usual.
Yeah, according to this poll, conservatives do not think it is justified.
Well, let's see what happens the next time somebody on the left side.
But now when you go to it where it's across the most Americans across the political spectrum say political violence is never justified, but younger and more liberal Americans are more likely to disagree. So when the question is asked differently. So the question for this one
with polls, man, that's always a problem with polls. It always depends on
that's why you ask the question in different ways, right?
Yeah.
Because While in this one, yeah, okay, so 11% say yes, violence can sometimes be justified, and 25% of the very liberal. But then again, what would be considered very liberal?
Right. Okay. So that's an awesome question, right? Because I'll
What
bring
percentage of this actual group? Because when it's like, oh, the very liberal group, 25% of them.
I mean, is it self-identified?
Right.
Because if it's self-identified, I can live with that. If it's not self-identified, that makes it a little bit more difficult, right? Because that's the same problem that I have with even just people that talk about Charlie himself, how he's a far right winger.
Let's try to
right?
find these poll numbers. Let's see how they conducted this study.
When he's actually a moderate. Are you trying to see how they pulled the data?
Yeah.
I don't think we have time for you to read through all that.
Yeah, no, you're right. That is something that is interesting, right? Because are these all is it the same number for each one? Did they pull 1,000 very liberals, pull 1,000 liberals, pull 1,000 moderates? Or did the people in the poll say those? Because if this poll was of 100 people and then only 4 of them consider themselves very liberal, I mean, I guess it's still 1 in 4.
Yep.
But that seems like a very slanted poll. But I'm assuming it's YouGov, so I'm assuming they did this right. But I'm just saying that, like, a little caveat here for that. Like, I don't know.
Should we discuss some of the things that were, I don't know, intentionally or unintentionally, depending on how conspiratorial you are? Not that I'm judging. Some of the things that were missed during the entire Charlie Kirk saga. Like
what?
should we talk about how conveniently or inconveniently the Senate voted down the Epstein bill as literally the day Charlie Kirk was assassinated by 1 vote? Maybe talk about that? Get any word on that?
We didn't hear about it.
I don't mean to put my tinfoil hat on here, kids.
I have the PDF for the birthday book for Epstein.
That is awfully convenient timing, isn't it? I think we can say that at best, right? It's awfully convenient timing.
Did you hear me?
What's that?
I said I have the PDF for Epstein for the birthday book. Found it.
Who sent that over to you, Ghislaine?
I just found it.
Everybody seemed to miss the Israeli attack on Doha. Once again proving that negotiating with the United States is just as dangerous as going to war with them. Because what is that? The third or fourth time inside of a couple of years where the United States and Israel have used negotiations as a pretext to launch an attack? Because that was the entire point, was that there was supposed to be a meeting in Doha to negotiate things between Hamas and Israel. And all of a sudden, a bomb just hits it.
Oh, that tall building or whatever?
Yeah, that tall building.
Yeah, I was listening and I heard that there was another strike in Gaza. And
this was Doha. This was Qatar.
Oh, no. Okay, so the tallest building in Gaza just got hit too.
Oh.
That's what I thought.
Nobody cares about that. No, I was talking about the Israeli attack on Doha.
Oh, yeah, and then America was like, oh, we didn't know about this.
Yeah, and then Trump was like, Israel should be really careful how they attack the Qataris. They're a great ally of ours. And then, it's interesting how he says that. And I'm not even saying he shouldn't say it, but the reaction to it was like Mark Levin, how Mark Levin would call Tucker Carlson Tucker Catarlson. Like, obviously, people like Mark Levin and a lot of other pro-Zionism folks aren't big fans of Qatar, but the guy that they love as their president is saying that Qatar is a valuable ally and Israel should be very careful. Now, that could just be Trump. I mean, one of the things Trump does really, really well is toe that line. He really knows how to toe that line. I'll give him a shit ton of credit for that. Where he can say just enough, but not too much. To where the, his masters might want to take him out. We also had Trump with a little bit of a shift on immigration. All of a sudden, higher profile visas are okay.
Oh
Because
yeah, no,
we
he
know-
also wants to have all the immigrants train native workers. I think I saw like a liberal post say he wants to train white workers. That's probably why that word slipped up, but I don't think that's what he actually said. I think he said like native born people.
It's
or
almost like
something like that.
it's almost.
I think it was
like,
a tabloid headline though. I'm not taking not taking it with a grain of salt.
As most libertarian economists have said for a very, very long time, immigration is a good thing. Doesn't mean you need to open the floodgates. I understand there's a line, but yeah.
What do we always say? Tall fences and wide gates.
Tall fences and wide gates. That's what you need. Immigration is a net positive for the economy. Always has been. Always will be.
It's what made us a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Like the influx of our population of people using Ellis Island when they didn't even have fucking computers, but they were able to like still do like 1 to 2 million people a year and process them. I don't understand why that's not able to do now. I get like, oh, well, there's might be terrorists.
This actually just happened a couple of days ago, but there was another strike against a ship not far from Venezuela, quote unquote, carrying drugs. And God, the term narco-terrorism was trending again. I saw that, a word that boomers just learned like 4 years ago when, I don't know, Bill Barr or one of those neocon dumbasses said it for the first time. You don't even know what that word means because it's not even a real word.
What was the word you just said?
Narco-terrorism or narco-terrorists.
Oh.
We're just going to take out ships because they might be carrying drugs.
It's international waters. It's wild out there.
It's just it's the Wild West. What can you say? And then Trump was asked if there was ever going to be any boots on the ground in Venezuela so that, the GIs that go in there to, take out the Venezuelan government can stash away the drugs and bring them back here like they did during Vietnam, because that's exactly what will happen.
And Afghanistan.
And Afghanistan. Yep. Maybe if we invade Venezuela, they'll be the number one producer of heroin. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Heroin and oil? Where have we seen this before?
Not once.
Not even once.
Most importantly, the Smith-Mundt Act has been trending lately. And this is very, very important because for those who aren't familiar with the Smith-Mundt Act, it was it was made law, I believe, shortly after World War II. I don't have it in front of me. But it included a provision that made it illegal for the United States government to use propaganda domestically against the United States. I would say that that's remarkably important. Would you?
Yeah.
So that provision was repealed as of 2013 when Congress passed the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2013. Or, at least that's the claim. The counter to that claim is that the 2013 bill simply allowed materials produced by the State Department to be made available within the United States, provided
And this was done through the NDAA Act, right?
Correct. Provided, though, that it was originally intended for foreign audiences. So let me read that one again for you. The counter to that claim is that the 2013 bill simply allowed materials produced by the State Department to be made available to the United States, or to United States citizens, provided it was originally intended for foreign audiences. You see how they always do that shit?
Right.
You see how they always make it sound like it's a good thing? Like,
They could
we're just
make anything and be like, oh, it's meant for Canada.
we're just being transparent. We just want the United States citizens to see the propaganda that we're pushing overseas. So,
thanks, Obama.
I'm glad you said that, Corey, because that is what we're seeing a lot of, was that somehow, and I'm no fan of Barack Obama, but somehow this was Barack Obama. And Larry Sinclair had a steamy love affair.
I just wanted to say Obama.
Trying to place the blame on Obama as like this sneaky way to blame Democrats for this bill in 2013 that allowed the U.S. government to propagandize United States citizens. But this is just another example of Republicans are not your enemy. Democrats are not your enemy. The government is your enemy. And sure, Obama did sign this bill into law, but let's be very clear about this.
2012.
2013.
Who had the 2013 Republicans had the majority.
I'm about to tell you.
Right?
This bill passed in the House 315 to 107, and in the Senate 81 to 14. So even with an Obama veto, even if Obama had decided that he had principles while this bill was coming through and vetoed it, it likely becomes law anyway because of a Republican House. This is what we've always tried to tell you people. Democrats, Republicans, these two sides are not your enemy. The two of them combined are your enemy. And I love how they did try to explain it away as, no, we're just trying to have more transparency with our propaganda. We just want to allow the American people to see how we're propagandizing other people. It's not being used against you. We promise. So Mike Lee and Thomas Massie want to bring back this provision of the Smith-Mundt Act back into law. Massie introduced it a few days ago, and of course, that bastion of constitutional justice, Speaker Mike Johnson, blocked the vote. Mike Lee wants to introduce a new bill, performatively called, of course, the Charlie Kirk Act, which would ultimately do the same thing. So you have a few principled people. It's probably not going to happen. And even if it does, you already have a huge chunk, if not all, of the corporate media nudged by the government, and a huge chunk of internet influencers, as we've seen over the course of the past couple of years, being nudged in the direction of whatever government happens to be in power.
My God. This one went right under my radar. I'm reading about it.
Yeah, this is right up your ass, isn't it? This is right up your alley. How did I know more than you did, Corey?
Yeah, I missed this one. Holy fuck. And they fucking blocked it. The Republicans fucking blocked a bill to stop the U.S. government from spreading propaganda on Americans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Republicans aren't your enemy, and nor are Democrats. The government is. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but I'll keep saying it.
Dude, I don't fucking understand.
Until everybody listens.
How both sides, they're just giving these fucking wins. Oh, man. That's unbelievable, dude.
And again, we laugh to keep from crying, right?
Dude, and here's the fucking thing. Here's the fucking thing, man. Is the Republicans are the ones like, oh yeah, the Republicans or the Democrats, they're always using propaganda, George Soros and blah 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 and all this, and then their boys are the ones who block this from being passed and make that fucking illegal. And then,
man, isn't it bizarre? It's almost like they work for the same people.
Two wings of the same goddamn bird, Dan.
Jesus
Christ.
Fuck them all. But the Democrats are the problem. And the Republicans are the problem.
No, it's the Democrats. No, it's the Republicans. It's definitely them.
No, and then you wonder why, these two parties are so different on the shit that doesn't matter. Why? Because it's the thing that distracts you from the shit that does matter. Go ahead, have a race war. We want you to have a race war. We want you to have the inappropriate class war, which would be the poor against the middle class, when it should be the poor and the middle class against the upper class. If you're going to talk about a class war, if you're going to talk about class warfare, go ahead, do all of these things. Talk about who should go piss in one bathroom or the other. Please argue over that with your neighbor, while talking about how horrible the poor blacks are that are murdering each other, or the white people that are keeping down the black community. Please continue to argue over those things. Right. This is what we want to see.
Right.
While shit like this goes right under your radar.
Transsexual is used as a grift to promote a beer.
Oh, yeah. Boycott Bud Light. Bud Light's terrible. Boycott them because they gave some.
Meanwhile, we're going to strike down laws that are introduced because we want to keep propagandizing to you. And you know what? Some of that shit might have been funded by us that you're arguing about.
Yeah, isn't it crazy how that goes? But please.
Fuck you.
But
I missed that one.
Keep arguing. Let's keep arguing about race and gender and who's more violent than the other. Let's keep otherizing each other. Go let the plebes out there, go let the proles, to quote George Orwell, argue amongst each other. And we'll just sit here and continue to propagate our own power. And we'll make it seem like we're not on the same team. But, wink, wink. Yeah. You guys can have your day for 4 years, and then our guy will get elected, and then we'll have our day. We'll just keep trading back and forth.
It doesn't fucking matter. Jesus fucking Christ.
You sound really mad about this.
He just he didn't even let it go to the floor for a vote. He fucking blocked it.
He sure did.
And then meanwhile talks about how asking for the Epstein files is a hostile act. What a fucking cuck.
Dude, I look at who was the last? Was it McCarthy, right? Or, no, not McCarthy. Who was the last guy? The last Speaker of the House. Why is his name slipping my mind? I can see his
Kevin McCarthy.
Face. Kevin McCarthy. Yes, I did have the last name right. I'm kind of starting to see Kevin McCarthy as a little bit more principled than Mike Johnson, if that makes sense to you. Slightly. It kind of makes sense why nobody wanted him in the first place, right? Doesn't it? Isn't that kind of starting to bear out a little bit? Why would you want Kevin McCarthy, the guy who has a couple of chiclets worth more of principles than somebody like Mike Johnson, who will just do whatever the hell we want? Maybe I'm crazy.
He probably would have fell in line. He's probably a little bitch too. The way
he got booted.
Man. Couldn't even defend his own job.
Yeah.
God damn it.
He got booted. Maybe it's because he had a couple more principles than Mike Johnson. These cocksuckers, dude. But
what
please,
pieces of shit.
Please, let's keep arguing.
But it's more important to talk about the jingling keys.
Oh, bro, dude, we're no better. We do it every week on this show. But we try to bring this stuff to the people. We probably should have started with this. I think we might have buried the lead. That's my fault. That's my fault. I'm sorry. We'll try to do better. This is a constantly moving ship. Do you have anything else?
No.
I just wanted to jump on a couple of the things that maybe we had missed during the Charlie Kirk.
Hey, Bell, real quick, look up Campbell's waste spill. I have it written
There you go,
down.
Terry. Put it in reverse, Terry.
Put that shit in reverse, Terry. And fuck the Republicans for that one. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how many? And then the Democrats too. It sounds like they were all on board with it as well.
Oh yeah. It's almost like they work for the same people. It's bizarre.
You're talking about Campbell Soup Company?
Yeah.
Oh, this is something. Yeah, they admit to dumping waste into the Maumee River in Ohio, violating the Clean Water Act 5,400 times.
I mean, to be fair,
they're like, what? It's not waste, it's pea soup.
Not to mention, Ohio is kind of the dumping ground of the United States.
God damn it, Dan. Their rivers just stopped catching on fire.
Go blue. What?
It's kind of a point where we're dumping, we're starting algae blooms, like toxic algae blooms in all their water. We're like, go blue. Dun, 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 dun.
But yeah, 5,400 times. Campbell's was like, oops. But I just imagine them at a ball valve going, whoops, whoops.
It's some
times.
And it's some Michigan fan pulling the lever.
Buckeyes players are going to show up to the game all dehydrated because they're all going to be looking for fresh water.
It was Connor Scallions.
Not only did they steal our signs, they were trying to poison our players.
They stole our signs. They stole our IQs.
I just paid $88.
You'll have to keep him crying, but like that's a big deal. And then like again, there's something. There's also big news. There's a bunch of shit always happening. I guess the moral of these two stories is keep your head on a swivel and constantly pay attention because sometimes things are pushed in the media to distract you from other things.
Only people are getting attacked.
Shut up, Buckeye. Dun, 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 dun.
It's just bullshit.
Thank you, Joe Scarborough. We needed you. We need you.
That was crazy, just so you know.
Everything's computer.
I think they're drinking water, but it's like full of like all of these carbohydrates from the waste of soups.
Seriously overweight.
Red.
Why don't you tell the people where they can find us, Corey?
Libservative Podcast is found on all social media and podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast, and you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today.
You definitely
For real,
can't
make sure
find
to
us on
subscribe.
the Maumee River.
What?
Said you definitely can't find us on the Maumee River.
Definitely not, unless we're upriver.
That's right. It's a total advantage to being north and having all that sewage run south. Anyway,
But yeah, make sure to like, follow, and share this with a friend. If you enjoyed the show and you hung out, you know they might get a kick out of it. I mean, everyone's so divisive and political now, and if you stuck around the show this long, then you realize that like, not necessarily nihilists. We see a positive, bright future as long as more people can just step out of their echo chambers and stop with the us versus them bullshit.
You're gay.
No, you are.
Gay.
No, you.
You're gay.
You're not that smart. I know what's going on. You're just showing off on friggin' TV again.
yeah. Am I going to be able to take us out, or are you going to
Whatever.
while I
Go.
do it? Rebel the Body Snatcher on the ones and twos. He, as always, has been Corey Walsh.
And he's been Dan Griffin.
It's been Libservative Intellectual Idiots, fostering political and cultural literacy, and the world's smartest internet show. And until next time, we are out of here.
Peace.
So if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. learn that. Somebody must lead, or else the fight would not be made at all.